I'm not usually one to spill the tea, but this story is wild. Diddy promised the court he'd been clean for 25 years, yet just 9 days into Fort Dix, his court breaking the rules. Alcohol in prison? How did it happen, and why didn't officials punish him? Could this slip-up derail his appeal or even make things worse for him legally? Stick around, because I've been digging into every detail. Why he chose Fort Dix, what the prison response really means, and how this incident could change everything for one of the world's most famous music moguls behind bars. I'm not usually one to spill the tea, but this story demands it. Welcome back to Chronicle Speaks. Tennessee, are you ready to come out and play? Here's the scoop. Did he really say, "I smoke, I drink, I'm supposed to stop, but I can't"? And did he finally get the prison transfer he requested to Fort Dix? Not long ago, Judge Subramanian denied that very request. Flashback to Diddy's sentencing. He told the judge drugs and alcohol had ruined his life, claiming this was the first time he'd been clean in 25 years and promising that if given a second chance on the outside, he wouldn't disappoint. But a lie detector later proved otherwise. Weeks after making that claim, Sean P. Diddy Combs was caught drinking homemade alcohol at Fort Dix, breaking the very commitment he had sworn to uphold. Prison officials initially planned disciplinary action but later reversed their decision. Sources confirmed he had a contraband brew made with a classic prison recipe: Fanta, sugar, and apples left to ferment for about 2 weeks. Remarkably, Diddy had only been at Fort Dix for 9 days when this happened, raising questions about whether this was a slip-up or a setup. "I've been plotting this all week, and here's the full picture." Diddy specifically requested Fort Dix because it's one of the more comfortable and low-security federal prisons in New Jersey, away from the most violent offenders, closer to New York and his family, and with easier access for lawyers. Beyond safety and convenience, the facility offers programs like RDAP, which can help inmates reduce their sentences, as well as business and vocational courses that give someone like Diddy a chance to demonstrate rehabilitation and stay productive. Essentially, Fort Dix ticked every box: a safer environment, proximity to loved ones, and potential time off. Yet, within just a week of arriving, things took a turn. Prison officials discovered he had alcohol, initially planning to move him to a different unit as punishment, but later reversed the decision, letting him stay in his original housing. This incident starkly contradicts the sobriety story Diddy had presented to the court, claiming he had been clean for 25 years and that the old version of himself had died behind bars while a new, reformed version had emerged. The judge, unconvinced, sentenced him to 50 months, commenting that he didn't believe Diddy had truly changed. Many felt the sentence was lenient, but Diddy's team immediately filed an appeal challenging both the conviction and the sentence. Unlike typical appeals that drag on for months, the judge expedited the process, prioritizing the case so it will be reviewed much sooner. While this doesn't guarantee a win for Diddy, it forces both sides to move quickly, no delays, no excuses, and sets a tight timeline for his lawyers to submit their filings. Here's the full picture regarding Diddy's appeal and his recent misconduct in prison, which has created quite a stir both legally and publicly. After an inmate's legal team submits their arguments to the appeals court, the government has a set window of time to respond. Once those responses are filed, the appeals court then has the discretion to decide whether they want to hold oral arguments or make a ruling based solely on the written submissions. This process is standard in appellate law and is meant to ensure that both sides have ample opportunity to present their case, while also allowing the court to efficiently review the facts, the legal arguments, and the precedent relevant to the case. In Diddy's situation, his lawyers are actively pushing for either a new trial or a reduction in his sentence, attempting to convince the court that his legal punishment may have been overly harsh or that there were errors in the original proceedings. However, his recent behavior in prison, specifically being caught consuming contraband alcohol, complicates the narrative that his legal team is working so hard to present. While it's important to note that this misconduct doesn't automatically nullify his appeal, it certainly affects how he is perceived across several fronts. Credibility is everything in legal proceedings, and by breaking prison rules, Diddy risks undermining the image of reformation that his lawyers are trying to project. This behavior gives the government and prosecutors tangible examples to argue that he has not genuinely changed and that he may not be deserving of leniency or alternative sentencing options. One key area where this could have a direct impact is in programs like RDAP, which is designed to provide inmates with opportunities to reduce their sentences through demonstrated rehabilitation. By violating prison rules, Diddy jeopardizes the argument that he has learned from past mistakes, potentially making it harder for judges or administrators to consider him a good candidate for early release programs. Essentially, each misstep can be leveraged by the prosecution to paint a portrait of someone who, despite claims of reform, is still engaging in prohibited behavior. This creates a tangible hurdle for his legal team, who now must contend with the fact that their client's recent actions provide real-world evidence contradicting their claims of rehabilitation. The visual evidence from Fort Dix further adds layers to the story. Last week, photographs circulated showing Diddy in the prison yard, appearing relaxed, social, and well-adjusted. He was seen laughing, smiling, and interacting with fellow inmates, which initially suggested that he was adapting reasonably well to his new circumstances behind bars. On the surface, these images gave the impression that he was maintaining composure, building relationships with others in the facility, and perhaps even embracing the structure of prison life. However, the alcohol incident complicates this narrative and highlights a more nuanced reality. It underscores the challenges and temptations that even controlled prison environments present. Despite appearances, adjusting to life behind bars is far from straightforward. Even low-security institutions like Fort Dix have routines, restrictions, and social pressures that can make day-to-day life stressful. And in such environments, the temptation to bend or break rules, especially when it comes to substances like alcohol, can be significant. Public perception also plays a critical role in how this incident is interpreted. Many observers might ask why the prison didn't take immediate or severe action against Diddy, especially given the potential for misconduct to influence his appeal. The answer lies in the unique nature of high-profile inmates and the way federal prisons operate. In the federal system, not all infractions are immediately made public, nor are they always met with swift punitive measures. When a celebrity or high-profile individual is involved, the Bureau of Prisons has to handle the situation carefully. They must weigh the need to enforce rules and maintain discipline against the risk of drawing national media attention, which could create public backlash, tension among other inmates, or even challenges for the administration's authority. Any overt disciplinary action against a famous inmate is likely to be scrutinized by the public, reported by the media, and potentially politicized. As a result, officials often conduct thorough internal investigations before issuing formal sanctions, ensuring that any action taken is justified, proportional, and carefully considered. In Diddy's case, officials have confirmed that a violation did occur, but they are still determining the appropriate course of action. They are balancing several factors simultaneously: maintaining protocol, considering the severity of the infraction, and being mindful of public scrutiny. This careful deliberation explains why the response may appear slower or less severe than some expect. Rather than immediately transferring him to the SHU, placing him in solitary confinement, or issuing extreme punitive measures, officials may opt for administrative remedies, such as warnings, temporary limitations on privileges, or minor internal sanctions. These approaches allow the Bureau of Prisons to uphold institutional rules while avoiding unnecessary escalation, especially for an inmate whose actions are under the legal and public microscope. The implications of this behavior extend beyond the prison walls. While the appeal itself will still move forward through the court system, any misconduct can influence how judges perceive the case and the character of the appellant. Judges and appellate authorities pay close attention to an individual's behavior during incarceration, as it reflects on their claims of reform and rehabilitation. Breaking rules in custody can erode trust, weaken legal arguments, and provide prosecutors with material to argue against leniency, sentence reduction, or alternative programs. Even a single incident of consuming contraband alcohol can be cited in court as evidence that an inmate has not internalized the lessons they claim to have learned, making it more challenging for lawyers to assert that their client is genuinely reformed. Furthermore, this situation illustrates the broader challenges of incarceration for high-profile individuals. Celebrities like Diddy face intense scrutiny, not only from legal authorities but from the public and media. Their every action is magnified, and any infraction, no matter how minor it may seem in the context of the prison environment, can have outsized consequences. The combination of legal stakes, public perception, and the pressures of prison life makes navigating this environment particularly complex. It also demonstrates that rehabilitation in prison is not just about appearances. It requires genuine adherence to rules, self-discipline, and careful decision-making under scrutiny. For Diddy, this incident represents a tangible setback in the narrative of personal transformation he has been trying to project to both the courts and the public. Ultimately, the case highlights the intricate intersection between legal strategy, prison administration, and media attention. While Diddy's appeal will continue to proceed, his recent misconduct makes it significantly harder for his legal team to argue convincingly that he has reformed or that he is being treated unfairly. Judges, prosecutors, and prison officials all take note of behavior in custody, and the optics of compliance, or lack thereof, matter deeply in high-profile cases. As this story develops, both legal and administrative decisions will continue to be shaped by these factors, creating a complex and evolving situation that is far more than just a simple infraction behind bars. In the meantime, the public remains engaged and vocal about every detail. People are watching closely, weighing his actions, his legal strategies, and how the Bureau of Prisons is responding. This situation offers a rare window into how high-profile inmates navigate the pressures of incarceration, legal appeals, and public scrutiny simultaneously. And as this story continues to unfold, it provides a reminder of how interconnected legal strategy, inmate behavior, and public perception can be, especially when a celebrity figure like Diddy is involved. In situations like this, the Bureau of Prisons often takes a measured and administrative approach to handling incidents rather than immediately resorting to formal discipline. This approach is designed to maintain order within the facility while still ensuring that rules are enforced. The reasoning behind administrative review is multifaceted. For one, it allows prison officials to carefully investigate what happened, gather all the facts, and assess the severity of the incident before deciding on the appropriate response. Not every violation requires the same level of punishment. In many cases, the outcome depends heavily on the context surrounding the incident. If the inmate in question cooperates with staff during the investigation, shows genuine remorse, or if the violation itself doesn't involve violence, weapons, or major contraband smuggling, the consequences are often less severe. Instead of facing formal charges or a transfer to a more restrictive unit, inmates may receive what are considered minor sanctions. These can include temporary restrictions on commissary privileges, limits on visitation, additional reporting requirements, or simply a formal warning. Essentially, administrative review allows the prison system to respond in a proportional and pragmatic way, ensuring that the punishment fits the infraction without creating unnecessary disruption. Now, it's important to recognize that this system is not applied uniformly across all inmates. Celebrity inmates, like Diddy, occupy a unique space within the prison hierarchy. Their high-profile status introduces a range of complications for the Bureau of Prisons. On one hand, officials must enforce rules fairly, as they would for any other inmate. On the other hand, these inmates attract significant public and media attention. A single disciplinary action involving a celebrity can quickly become national news, potentially creating unrest both inside the facility and among the general public. In Diddy's case, the combination of his fame, his recent sentencing, and his ongoing appeal has created a situation where the Bureau has to tread carefully. Any action they take could be scrutinized in the media, potentially influencing public perception or even putting pressure on the legal system. Because of this, it's possible that officials are taking a quieter approach, choosing to handle the matter internally without immediate public reporting, while simultaneously considering how it might impact his ongoing appeal and overall conduct record. Diddy's specific circumstances add even more complexity. He's not just any inmate. He's a globally recognized music mogul with a massive public following and a significant financial and legal team advocating on his behalf. The optics of how he is treated behind bars matter not only to the prison administration but also to his legal strategy. If disciplinary action is too harsh or publicized at this stage, it could affect public perception and his appeal process. Conversely, if no action is taken at all, it might suggest leniency or preferential treatment, which could spark criticism from both the public and other inmates. This balancing act is delicate, requiring the Bureau of Prisons to carefully weigh their decisions and consider both immediate and long-term consequences. In practice, this means that while Diddy has been caught breaking certain prison rules, specifically consuming contraband alcohol, the full administrative response might not yet be visible to the public. Officials may be investigating the matter further, considering factors such as his cooperation, the nature of the infraction, and how it fits into his overall behavior record. From a legal perspective, Diddy's situation is particularly delicate. His legal team is actively pursuing an appeal, seeking either a reduced sentence or a new trial. In this context, any recent misconduct could significantly impact how judges and appellate authorities perceive him. While an infraction like drinking alcohol in prison does not automatically cancel his appeal, it certainly complicates the narrative that his lawyers are trying to establish. In legal terms, they are presenting him as a reformed individual, someone who has acknowledged past mistakes, taken responsibility, and is now genuinely working to change his behavior. By violating prison rules, Diddy provides the government with concrete examples to argue the opposite, that he may not have fully reformed and is still prone to breaking rules. This behavior can be leveraged against him to suggest that he doesn't deserve leniency, early release, or participation in programs like RDAP, which can potentially reduce his sentence. The broader implications of this incident extend beyond legal strategy. It also affects how he is perceived by prison staff, fellow inmates, and the public. For the Bureau of Prisons, maintaining order and discipline within the facility is paramount. Any perceived preferential treatment or inconsistent enforcement can create tension among inmates, undermine authority, and complicate day-to-day management. For Diddy's legal team, each disciplinary issue becomes a hurdle to overcome, requiring careful explanation and strategic framing to mitigate the negative impact on his appeal. Even seemingly minor infractions can be cited in court as evidence that he has not fully reformed, making it harder to argue for reduced sentences or alternative programs. It's also worth noting that life inside a federal prison is inherently challenging. Even in a low-security facility like Fort Dix, inmates face temptations, stress, and limited privacy. Social interactions, peer pressure, and the environment itself can influence behavior. Photographs released last week showed Diddy appearing relaxed, social, and well-adjusted in the prison yard, laughing and conversing with fellow inmates. On the surface, these images suggested that he was adapting well to life behind bars. However, the recent alcohol incident paints a more nuanced picture. It highlights that, despite outward appearances, adjusting to prison life involves navigating temptations and maintaining discipline under constant supervision. This complexity is often overlooked by the public but is a real challenge for inmates, particularly those under intense scrutiny like Diddy. So why hasn't the prison acted more aggressively yet? The answer lies in protocol and practicality. Not every infraction is addressed immediately or publicly, especially for high-profile inmates. The Bureau of Prisons often conducts internal investigations first to determine the appropriate course of action. They weigh factors such as cooperation, the severity of the violation, and the potential public and institutional impact. In some cases, minor sanctions like temporary restrictions, warnings, or loss of privileges are sufficient to address the behavior without escalating it unnecessarily. Officials may also be timing their actions carefully, waiting until certain legal processes, like ongoing appeals, reach critical points before issuing formal discipline. This approach ensures that rules are enforced, the inmates' rights are considered, and potential media fallout is minimized. Ultimately, this situation illustrates the complicated intersection of celebrity, legal strategy, and prison administration. Diddy's high-profile status, combined with his ongoing appeal and recent misconduct, creates a web of considerations that both his legal team and prison officials must navigate carefully. While the appeal itself will continue through the legal process, his recent actions have made it more challenging for his lawyers to argue that he has truly reformed. Judges notice these things, and breaking rules while in custody does not bolster the argument that an individual has changed. Every action, from photographs showing him socializing to reports of contraband alcohol, contributes to the narrative that the courts and the public will interpret. In the meantime, it's important to consider the broader questions this raises. How do high-profile inmates navigate life behind bars while under intense scrutiny? How does the legal system weigh misconduct against claims of rehabilitation? And how does public perception influence both legal proceedings and prison administration? These questions are not just academic, they have real implications for Diddy's case and for the way similar cases are handled in the future. For viewers and followers of this story, it's a reminder that the legal and prison systems are complex, with decisions often made behind the scenes that the public may not immediately see. So, I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything unfolding in Diddy's world right now? How do you feel about his behavior, the legal strategy, and the prison administration's approach? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation. These events are ongoing, and your perspective matters in understanding the bigger picture. And, as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new episodes covering this story and other important updates. Keeping up with the latest developments ensures you're informed, engaged, and part of the conversation surrounding high-profile cases like this one.